If you look close enough, the LA Chargers are dropping hints as to what they're going to do with that number 5 overall pick. If you're new to the channel, yes, we're Detroit Lions fans, but this channel is all about the Chargers. We're Lions fans. We live here in Michigan. So we're Michigan fans. We're Jim Harbaugh fans. We're following him out to LA. Our main channel is Sports Talk Detroit, but on this channel, you're getting an unbiased look into the Chargers from a couple of guys that know Jim Harbaugh well. Can't wait to see how he turns around the Chargers. Now, before we get into this video, the Air Coryell System. We asked you guys how you got into being a Chargers fan. A lot of people put Air Coryell. I remember seeing a special on that a while ago. Kind of thought at the time, like, dang, like I didn't even know this was a thing. As you guys have been talking about it, I looked it up, researched it here lately. Incredible, right? This is like this is the modern, everyone talks about the West Coast system and all that. Air Coryell was doing what modern football is all about. They were doing that 50 years ago or 40 years ago. And it's really cool to see. So before that, I mean, right, it was 2 tight ends, receiver, fullback, just stagnant would be the word. And then they open it up, motion, vertical, pushing you down the field. And it was really interesting because you think about the corners and the safeties, the secondaries back then, they're not equipped to handle that, right? It goes against what football was. It was smash mouth. It was a lot of congestion, handing it off. So those safeties and corners were hardly ever involved in anything, not very much, right? And then they've got guys going, 4 guys running at them vertical. It was counterintuitive, or it was counter to what the game was. And it's funny now, fast forward 40 years later, and you've got Jim Harbaugh coming in, going to do the same thing, right? Teams want to spread it out. Teams want to go vertical, passing game. He is going to go back to smash mouth football, run it strategically, power again. Because what do you have? You have fast guys. You've got smaller linebackers. You've got nickel coverages out there with 5 DBs. He's going to run it, force you to bulk up when some teams just literally cannot, because you know what? They're not equipped for that. They're built for speed, and Jim Harbaugh is going to really be able to run the ball. So I thought that was just, it's crazy how that system really went. So let's take a look here. When Jim Harbaugh was with the Niners in his very first draft, he traded down and they had the 7th pick. On the other hand, he moved up various times to pick players like Kaepernick and Eric Reed. So, first note is Jim Harbaugh is not afraid to move back, but he's also not afraid to move up. But I think that Jim Harbaugh loves having picks, and he's really into that, and they really trust knowing the right guys to get. When Joe Ortiz was with the Ravens, they were constantly trading down. Here's what he said. I think this is like a key note right here. You take the best player available because you never ever one player away. So I love talking about, do you take best player available or do you draft for need? I'm a big sorry, balloons. I'm a big draft for need guy. I know that's wrong. And the reason I know that's wrong is because of this statement right here. You're not one corner away. So don't reach for that corner. Get the best player available. Now, if that best player available happens to be a need, then there you go, jackpot. That's usually not the case, though. But this is like convincing me that you take the best player, because you're right. You never are one player away. And the more you go reaching for players to fill needs, you're just getting lesser. It's hard to find really good players. It's so you lessen your chance when you're like, we need a corner. We can only look at these 2 guys. Which corner do we want? So I get it. That's what Ozzie Newsome told me a long time ago. The games don't start being played until September. So if you get a chance to take a special player at 5, you take that player and then you work from there. Meaning, take the special player. You'll be able to fill in your roster, sign undrafted free agents, whatever it takes, but take the best player available. Harbaugh and Ortiz seem to be on the same page in terms of staying put with the 5th pick, and there's no indication they would trade up for anyone and taking the best player available. Now, who would they choose? So let's talk about that. We get that they're comfortable moving back. I think step 1 or priority 1 or preference 1 preference one would be trade back. I really do. Now that there's probably a player or two, and we'll get to that, who you stay for, doesn't matter what you're being offered. Sorry, we got to take him. But I also think, but down deep in their heart, I think they want to trade back, get more picks. This is year one. It's their team. It's their players. Why not grab 3 more picks that you can grab your player? So I think that's number one. If they stay at 5, because we know they're not going to move down, right? They're not going to, or up, down. They're not going to move to 4, 3, 2, or 1. We know that. So who would they pick if they stayed or moved back? They have a chance at Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors. So we've looked at this a million different ways, and any way you kind of slice it, one of these two guys is going to be there. Saw a draft a couple days ago where Malik Neighbors went at 4 instead of Marvin Harrison. That could happen, but I don't think it would, but it doesn't matter because they're both really good and you have a chance at either one of them. So you look at Marvin Harrison. You don't have to even look at stats. You just watch him play for the Buckeyes. The Buckeyes are throwing the ball all over the place. He's in a pro offense with good quarterbacks. It doesn't even matter what his stats were. He's a NFL stud right from the start. Next guy would be Malik Neighbors. Also Brock Bowers, Joe Alt. But Neighbors and Bowers are evenly matched, and the Bolts need to bolster both positions. However, Chargers would likely select Neighbors over Bowers since they're better free agent tight ends and a better price than wide receivers this year. Absolutely. Tight end's really important. Seeing that with the Lions, they draft Sam Laporta. He's an unbelievable tight end, and it's such an advantage when you have a tight end. It just is. They can block. You don't know if you're blocking, running. You don't know what they're doing. But you see it with these huge contracts, Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, a game breaker wide receiver are just hard to find. And you think about it, you've got 3, 4 wide receivers on the field at one time. The amount of wide receivers out there versus tight end, right? Tight end, there's one. You just need one good one. In the NFL, you need how many wide receivers? You need 4 good you need 2 good wide receivers and then a couple other guys, right? So you extrapolate that over the league, you need more good wide receivers. It's hard to come by. And they're not going to let them go when they come up. Justin Jefferson be an example. They're just not going to be like, oh, really good free agent, wide receivers available. No one wanted them. So you draft the wide receiver. Given Harbaugh's track record in San Francisco and Ortiz's philosophy of drafting the best player available at the top of the draft, the Chargers would select one of the 2 top receivers. There it is, right? That is who they're going to draft. If they trade back, cool. That's great. Get some more people. It's a deep draft. Get a wide receiver later. Get another, doesn't matter. But odds are they stay. And if they do, they're going to get one of those 2 wide receivers, and it's going to be awesome because Craig made this point a couple videos ago. The Jim Harbaugh has never really had an elite wide receiver. Look at his time from the Niners to Michigan, even to now the Chargers. He can establish a running game, make a running game out of nothing overnight. That's just, I don't know how he does it. You're going to run the ball, but pair that with an elite quarterback and wide receiver. I don't know. It's crazy. It'd be awesome. So let me know your thoughts in the comments on this one, and we'll see all of you on the next one.